Hey guys, in this lecture I will explain you what are triggers in WPF. So in the previous lecture you have worked with styles and style inheritance. So by now you might be having a good understanding of what are WPF styles or how do we use WPF styles. So you might have noticed that setters in those styles are static. That is, you need to set a setter and then you will watch the change in your control according to that setter. Your setter does not change dynamically. And how to make that setter change dynamically, that is done with the help of WPF triggers. So let's quickly jump into our slides and understand what are WPF triggers. So triggers in WPF are response of some action, that is the setter properties changes with some condition. So as I have told you that in case of styles the setter properties are static, but in case of triggers the setter properties changes with some condition. Now trigger is always applied as a part of styles. Now only difference being, in a style the setter properties are static, whereas in trigger the setter properties changes with the condition. So if you need to apply a trigger to your control, you need to define a style and then you need to define a trigger to that style. Hence triggers helps us to achieve the purpose of rich look and feel of your controls or your UI. Also there are certain triggers that helps us to achieve the function of animation, transforms, etc. So let's quickly jump to our demo and understand what do I mean by triggers. So I have a window. In that window I have a grid, and inside that grid I have a button, and it's a simple button which says I am a button, please hover mouse over me. That means this button is asking me to hover the mouse over it when the application is running. So let's change some appearance of this button with the help of styles and triggers. So what I want to do, whenever I hover the mouse over this button, I want this content to become extra bold and the foreground of this content should be red. So this I want to achieve with the help of triggers. But remember, I can do the same thing with the help of a style too, but that condition will be static. That means I won't be able to change that condition at runtime, but with the help of trigger I can achieve that. So let's try to make a style first. So I have opened the button tag and let me write button.style. Okay, and then let me define the target type of this style as button. Let me define the setter for this style, and the property should be foreground. The value should be, say, blue, right? And let me close the button that I have opened. So here you go. So this is the style of a button, and let me actually remove this setter and close it inline. Okay, so this is my style. In this the foreground is blue. So what happens if I run this? I get a button whose foreground is blue, right? But I need to change this foreground to red when I put a mouse over this button. Okay, so this could be done with the help of trigger. So this setter property is static till now with the help of style, but I will make it dynamic with the help of a trigger. So how do I define a trigger? Inside this style tag, remember trigger is applied with the help of styles. So inside this style tag you need to define style dot triggers. Okay, so this is the tag in which you will define the trigger, and then inside that you need to define the property for that trigger. So let me have the property is mouse hover and the value should be true. Okay, and then let's define the setter for this trigger, that because that's same as we define the setter for styles. So let's go to property and let's have the foreground value should be red. Okay, Let me define another setter here. Property, foreground or font weight. And the value should be extra bold, right? So I have defined a trigger inside my style. Okay, and let's try to run this application now. You can see this is my styled button which has a foreground of blue, and you can see the property is mouse over. So my trigger will trigger when I will put a mouse over this button. So let me try to do this, and you can see the moment I put a mouse over the button, my foreground has become red and it has become, the text has become extra bold. When I remove the mouse, it goes back to the original state. So I am changing these setter properties dynamically with the help of a condition. So there are various conditions here inside a trigger, so you can define it accordingly according to your requirement. So this is a trigger. So let's move back to our slides. Now the very important point mentioned in the slide, look at the last point. Internally trigger uses the concept of dependency properties. Now what are dependency properties? I will cover this topic in my later video session, but you need to understand that trigger uses the concept of dependency properties internally. Okay, now for making you to understand, just you need to know the point that dependency properties are special type of properties which has the property to provide chain notification. So this is done inside a trigger. The moment the condition becomes true, a chain notification is sent to WPF engine, and the moment the condition becomes false, a chain notification is sent to WPF engine. So this is how trigger works internally. But anyhow, I am going to cover the concept of dependency properties in great detail in my later video session. So I hope you understood the concept of triggers in WPF. Now there are basically three types of triggers in WPF, and we will look into these three types of triggers in my next lecture. So thank you so very much guys for listening. If you have any doubt, please leave a comment below. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, and also please share this channel and please share these videos to your friends. Thank you so very much.